Has your cat ever suddenly sprinted around the house in the middle of the night like it saw something? It looks random, it looks crazy, but it is not. A lot of people think this is just pointless hyperactivity or that the cat suddenly went crazy. But this behavior is often connected to built-up energy, hunting instinct, and the natural way cats respond to their environment, especially when everything is quieter at night. Has your cat ever suddenly sprinted around the house in the middle of the night like it saw something? It looks random, it looks crazy, but it is not. A lot of people see that scene and think the same thing. My cat just lost its mind. But for a cat, that burst of speed almost never happens for no reason. What looks like chaos is often a mix of built-up energy, sharp alertness, and a hunting instinct that is still very much alive, even in a cat that spends half the day sleeping on the couch. And that is where most people get it wrong. During the day, your cat can look calm, lazy, and completely uninterested in everything around it. But underneath that quiet behavior, its body is still wired like a hunter. It watches, listens, waits, saves energy, and then, at certain moments, it releases all of it at once. What makes this even more interesting is that nighttime creates the perfect setting for that behavior. The house gets quieter, there is less movement, fewer interruptions, and fewer loud sounds competing for attention. That means your cat can notice tiny things much more clearly. A faint noise, a shadow on the wall, a slight movement under a table, even something you would never notice can suddenly put your cat on full alert. But it is not only about being alert. Sometimes what looks like a strange midnight outburst is actually a completely natural energy release. Cats are experts at resting, but that rest is not just laziness. It is part of how they are built. They save energy for short, intense moments of action. And when that moment hits, they can tear through the house like they are chasing something invisible. And here's the part that makes this behavior even more fascinating. In your cat's mind, it may not feel invisible at all. In the next part, we get into why the night seems to wake up your cat's inner hunter even more. That is because cats are naturally more active during the hours when the world starts to slow down. While humans are getting ready to sleep, a cat can begin to feel more awake, more focused, and more tuned in to everything happening around it. This is one reason those sudden late-night sprints are so common. In the wild, the best moments to hunt are often when the light is low and everything is quieter. Even though your cat lives inside your home, that ancient pattern is still there. It does not matter if there is no real prey in the house. The instinct remains. And sometimes that instinct gets triggered by the smallest things imaginable. A tiny sound behind a door, the movement of a curtain, a reflection on the wall, the noise of your own footsteps from another room. What seems meaningless to you can feel important to a cat because its senses are built to notice details that most people completely miss. This is why those midnight zoomies are not always random excitement. Sometimes your cat is reacting to the environment like a hunter testing the space, tracking movement, and preparing for action. In that moment, the house stops being just a house. To your cat, it becomes a territory full of signals. And there is another reason this behavior can get even stronger. If your cat spends most of the day indoors without enough stimulation, that unused physical and mental energy does not simply disappear, it builds up. Then, later at night, it can come out all at once in one explosive run from one side of the house to the other. So when your cat suddenly races through the hallway, jumps on furniture, and vanishes into another room, it may be releasing energy, but it may also be following an instinct that has been waiting all day for the right moment. And the strangest part is that this behavior can actually reveal something important about your cat's routine. In the next part, you will see why some cats do this much more than others. Some cats do this once in a while. Others seem to turn into tiny rockets every single night. And that difference usually comes down to one thing: how much energy, stimulation, and interaction that cat is getting during the day. A cat that spends hours alone with little to do may look relaxed, but that does not always mean it feels fulfilled. If there is not enough play, not enough challenge, and not enough movement, all that unused energy starts to build in the background. Then nighttime arrives, the environment gets quiet, and that energy finally finds a way out. This is why younger cats tend to do it more often. Kittens and adolescent cats are full of curiosity, speed, and impulsive bursts of excitement. Their bodies are constantly ready to explore, chase, climb, and react. So when they do not burn that energy during the day, the house becomes their racetrack after dark. But adult cats can do it too, especially if they are bored. And boredom in cats does not always look obvious. Sometimes it looks like sleeping too much, staring out a window for long periods, or suddenly becoming intensely active at odd hours. What seems like random chaos chaos may actually be your cat trying to create its own form of stimulation. There is also the emotional side of it. Some cats get these bursts after feeling excited, frustrated, or even overstimulated. A strange sound, a sudden movement, a playful mood, or a buildup of tension can flip a switch. And once that switch turns on, the sprint begins. So those late night runs are not always just crazy behavior. In many cases, they are your cat's way of releasing physical energy, satisfying instinct, and responding to an environment that finally feels active enough to explore. And when you understand that, one big question comes next. Is this behavior completely normal? Or can it sometimes be a sign that something else is going on? In the next part, we get to the answer most cat owners never think about. In most cases, this behavior is completely normal. Those sudden midnight sprints are often just a healthy mix of instinct, stored up energy, and a cat responding to its surroundings exactly the way its body was designed to. So if your cat occasionally races through the house like it is chasing something only it can see, that alone is usually not a reason to panic. But here is what most people never stop to consider: the difference between normal energy and unusual restlessness. A normal burst is usually short, it comes fast, looks dramatic, and then disappears just as quickly. Your cat runs, jumps, turns a corner, maybe dashes across a room, and then settles down again as if nothing happened. That pattern is very different from behavior that seems constant, distressed, or out of control. If the cat looks agitated for long periods, cannot settle, vocalizes unusually, or suddenly starts showing other changes in behavior, then the issue may not be just playful nighttime energy. Sometimes discomfort, stress, or a change in the environment can make a cat more restless than usual. This is why context matters so much. If your cat has always had these quick bursts, especially at night, it is usually part of its natural rhythm. But if the behavior suddenly becomes far more intense, far more frequent, or comes with signs that feel unusual for your cat, that is when it deserves closer attention, and that changes the way you see the whole thing. Because what looks funny from the outside is not always just random chaos. Sometimes it is your cat exercising instinct, sometimes it is burning off energy, and sometimes it is reacting to something in its world that you have not noticed yet. That is exactly why these midnight runs are so fascinating. They sit right on the line between play, survival instinct, and communication. Your cat may not be trying to confuse you at all. It may actually be showing you in the clearest way it can that its body is still guided by ancient patterns. And once you understand that, those wild runs through the hallway stop looking so random. In the next part, you will see the one explanation that makes almost everything suddenly make sense. The one explanation that makes all of this come together is simple. Your cat is not just reacting to the house, it is reacting to the world the way a hunter would. That is the part most people forget. Even the calmest house cat still carries instincts that were built for stalking, chasing, waiting, and exploding into action at exactly the right moment. So when your cat suddenly tears through the house at midnight, it is not being weird for no reason. In many cases, it is doing exactly what its body has always been designed to do, and that is why the behavior feels so dramatic. One second, your cat is completely still. The next, it is flying across the floor, turning corners at full speed, jumping on furniture, and vanishing like something just triggered a mission inside its brain. To you, it looks random. To your cat, it can feel perfectly natural. What makes this even more surprising is that your cat does not need a real mouse, a real threat, or a real target for that instinct to switch on. A sound, a shadow, a burst of energy, a playful mood, or even pure internal excitement can be enough. The hunting system is already there. It just needs a reason to activate. So the next time your cat races through the house in the middle of the night, you may be witnessing more than just a funny moment. You may be seeing a flash of something ancient still alive inside an animal that now sleeps on blankets, waits by the window, and curls up beside you like it has nothing wild left in it. And maybe that is what makes cats so fascinating. They can look peaceful, lazy, and completely harmless, then suddenly remind you that deep down, they are still built with the mind of a silent hunter. Now you know why your cat runs through the house at night like that. It is not just chaos, it is instinct, energy, and nature showing itself for a few wild seconds. If your cat does this too, comment Midnight Zoomies below, and subscribe for more cat mysteries that make perfect sense once you know what to look for.